Hey you guys, it's Peter, and welcome to my channel. Peter likes books. And I'm sitting in my hotel room in Miami. It is pouring rain, thunderstorming outside. So when it's raining and it's a Saturday afternoon, is it Saturday? Yes, when it's a Saturday afternoon, why not a book tag video? So I went underneath my drunk book tag video and someone recommended to me, I don't know who it is, so I apologize. I had it all up and now I don't. The Nsfw Book Tag, so not safe for work book tag, which I'm sure will be demonetized since YouTube is even demonetizing my weight loss videos at this point. So I'm sure this one definitely will, but who cares? Let's just have fun. That's what it's all about, right? The first question we're gonna get, the original tag was made by Chapter Stacks. And it's like 3 years old, but I really love the questions on this. And I just read through like the first 3 or 4 questions. I was like, oh, I'm doing this tag. So a lot of times I read through tags, and if it's something like the Harry Potter tag and like each one applies to something that you have to know about Harry Potter, I don't do it because I haven't read all the books. But this one, like the first 2 or 3 questions, I was like, oh, this is really good. So let's get right into this. And I just kind of like scramble my mind, clear my mind up, like I'm a Miss America pageant contestant, and this is my interview question. Are you ready? Okay. Number 1, what is the last book you would want your parents to walk in on you reading? I don't know that I would really care if my parents walked in on me reading any book, you know, like, my mother read like strictly literature and my dad reads strictly nonfiction. So I don't know that it would really, I mean, he reads like a lot of political commentary and economist theories and things like that. My mother, on the other hand, read like pure literature. So I don't know if I read, like, if I was reading, like with my mom, I think if I was reading like some trashy erotica novel and she walked in and she was like, and it had some picture on the front of it, I think she'd be like, I mean, what are you doing? Like, why are you reading that? Like, she would question it, but she wouldn't, like, if she was like, if I said, oh, it's really good, Mom, blah, 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 she'd be like, oh, well, maybe I'll try that. I mean, she would be open to it. So I don't think anything, I'm not ashamed of reading what I read. If I'm going to read a book, I'm going to read it. I don't think anybody should be ashamed by anything they read. In fact, a couple weeks ago, I said on here that I thought it would be fantastic, and a couple people out there were like, oh my god, my name's Erica. But if there was like an Erica out there and she did like Erica's Erotica booktube channel and she just like had a glass of wine and just like read excerpts of like erotica novels and reviewed them, because there is a, you know, a whole genre out there of erotica fiction that people love. I don't care to love that, but a lot of people do. If you get on Goodreads, like Male Erotica does really, really well, and it's all read by women, which is super interesting to me. But, okay, number 2, it's storming outside. Well, it is outside. And you're home alone for the night. What book would only make matters worse? Definitely Endless Night by Richard Lehman. The book is absolutely terrifying. When anybody asks me for a scary book, I always tell them to read anything by Richard Lehman. There's another book of his, I think it's called Come Out Tonight, and it's about this librarian that gets these notes and books, and she has to do like bigger and bigger tasks for money, but it turns very grotesque. That's also a terrifying book, because she never knows like who's lurking around the corners and who's doing it. Number 3, have you ever read a book simply because of the controversy surrounding it? Definitely. I do that a lot, actually. You know, if a book is really, and I don't mean just a hyped book, but if a book politically is like, people are like, you have to read this book. And there was so much controversy around Angie Thomas's The Hate U Give this year that I honestly probably wouldn't have read it if it weren't for that. And positive controversy, I think. And I remember that it was a comment that Jenna Claire put out. I love her. She's one of my favorite booktubers. And she said, and she was reading it, and I'm almost positive this was her. She said, it's so tragic reading this, knowing that this is really going on right now in our world. Something to that effect. And I was like, oh, I have to read this book. Like, as soon as I saw that tweet, I was like, I have to read this book. So Jenna, thank you for introducing to me what is one of my now all-time favorite books, because that book is just absolutely fantastic. Number 4, what is the most cringe-inducing romance or sex scene you've ever read? I mean, all of it between the two, like the vampire, I don't even know what, Edward and what was her name, and Twilight, the whole Twilight series. I mean, I was so Team Jacob the whole time reading those books, but they were so bad. Like, the stories were interesting to me, but the writing was horrible, right? And it was like, and like, this is where like it's so interesting to me with 50 Shades of Grey, because I will admittingly say that I will admit to have read those too. Like with 50 Shades of Grey, the writing was good, but like the stories were so bad. But Twilight, like I thought the story was good, the writing just wasn't great. But you could speed right through it. What is her name? Why can I not remember Kristen Stewart's? I mean, when you remember the actress, not the character, Luna, I mean, what was her name? I don't know, it doesn't matter. Those books. So anyway, but anything between the two of them, Edward or Anastasia and whatever that dude's name was in 50 Shades of Grey. Anastasia. Is this your game room? That was so embarrassing. Okay, number 6, have you ever put, when you're embarrassed for a character for how they're acting in a book, like, you know, like when you're watching a TV show and you're kind of like embarrassed, you're like, oh, no, like that, you know, like a reality show, or like with a friend, they do something, you're like embarrassed for them. Like when you're reading a book and you're embarrassed for the character, like, and it's not supposed to be that way, that's problematic. Okay, number 6, I'm trying to think. There was like some other book that I was reading recently and I was like, this is just so, I don't want to read this. This is so uncomfortable. Number 5, what book has made you question the author's sanity? Well, anything by William S. Burroughs, which is so funny because recently somebody said to me, why don't you do like your whole, because I said that every school year, like I always like pick an author that I like want to read everything by, even though I never end up doing that. And somebody suggested that I do William S. Burroughs. His stuff is just so out there that I don't know that I could do that. I will also say I'm a diehard Ernest Hemingway fan. I get compared to him a lot. I have no idea why. I don't think I look anything like old Ernest. But anyway, oh God, I need to do my hair. But anyway, you know, like I have read, I mean, I think almost everything by Ernest Hemingway. And it's interesting because one of my favorite novels by him is Garden of Eden, which is supposedly unfinished. And it was his last, I think it was supposedly his last novel. And if you read it, it's so out of character for everything else. And it really defies like gender roles. Have you guys read it? Like it's fantastic. It's really good. It's about a couple that go and they spend like the summer on the beach. I think it's in the south of France somewhere maybe. Or in Spain, and her goal is to get darker and darker and darker, and then she cuts her hair short, and then she wants it blonde just like his, and she starts dressing like him. And it's very interesting what happens over the course of this summer by the sea. And a lot of people speculated that it wasn't F. Scott Fitzgerald and his wife, you know, who did have mental health issues and was institutionalized. So I don't know, but like a lot of people speculated that that could be a possibility. But Ernest Hemingway was a little out there too. So, you know, there's a lot of authors out there. I mean, I'm an author, and I think to be an author, you have to be a little wacky because you're constantly living in this imaginative world, creating worlds, creating characters, talking to characters in your head. So, I mean, I think every author out there, their sanity probably should be questioned. And who cares, like, you know, really, like, if they're putting out great content. I just love reading a good book. I don't really care if my author is nuts or not. Do you? I mean, I really don't. Number 5, number 6, have you ever put down a book and not finished it because the content was too much for you? Like in a hard way? Okay, yes, very much so. I read The Fountainhead by Ayn Rand. Is it Ayn Rand? Ayn Rand? Ayn Rand. And then I started Atlas Shrugged and I could not get through it. It was like, I was like, I cannot do this. It takes me 20 minutes to read a page. It's so above my head. The other one was, oh, I'm going to mispronounce his name. My husband's taking a nap right next to me, but I wish he was up. Gabriela Garcia Marquez. And he wrote 100 Years of Solitude. I could not get through it, you guys. I literally had to go down and like see how many pages I had left, divided by 30 days, and it was like 8 pages a day. And like I was like, I'm just going to get this done, and I never did. I just DNF'd it. And in fact, I actually donated that book to the library because I was like, I don't even want it around here. And what was so funny was like 2 years later, I found another I was like, I have 2 copies of this book. This book will not leave my life. But it's so beautifully written. Like, I think if I read it today and I was focused, I would really like it. But at that time, like, I just couldn't get into it. It was too much for me. Have you guys read it, 100 Years of Solitude? It's supposedly, like, one of the most beautiful books ever. It's, like, it just takes place over generations. It's too much. It's too much. Anyway, that was number 6. Number 7, what fictional character do you have the most not safe for work thoughts about? That's so unfair for me to answer this question because you know what kind of books I read. So let me keep it above that. Let's see, what kind of books do I read a lot that would... Well, I don't know, but like I just finished reading, I mean, I don't really have not safe for work thoughts. Do people really do that with books? Like, seriously, you're dirty. But anyway, I thought that I just read Big Little Lies by Leanne Moriarty, and I'm reading like her latest one now, Truly Madly Guilty. And it's interesting to me. I was thinking about this when I was reading it. Like, she always has a husband in there that's very, very endearing, like a great husband. And in this book, it is Clementine's husband. And in Big Little Lies, it was Reese Witherspoon's husband. What's her name? Mackenzie? I can't think. But like in the movie, like he was different in the movie than he was in the book. But in the movie, he was like really like an adorable, neat guy, and very similar in the book, but not quite as much. And it's interesting to me that she always writes that character, and I'm wondering if that character is like her husband, because I don't know. Like, do you ever do that? You speculate why the author puts certain things in a book, and I'm like, why does she always have this certain husband archetype in all of her books? So I don't know, just that very, you know, loyal, endearing, compassionate husband type. I think that's sexy, isn't it? I mean, let's be for real. Okay, number 8, show us your most Nsfw book cover or drawing photo inside a book. Well, I don't have it with me because I'm in a hotel room in Miami, but I can't remember actually what the book is called. Here, I will look it up really quick while I'm answering the next question, so hold on. Number 9, have you ever read something from the erotica romance genre, and what did you think? I did. I read a Josh Lanyon book last year, and I thought it was, I mean, it's just crap, you guys. It's just like those books for me, like these are male erotica. They get so many views that I was like, well, maybe I want to see if I can do this, you know? So I did, and I just was not impressed with it at all. I wanted to give this book a little shout out, but it's taking my Goodreads forever to fill up or to come up with. So I don't love it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, have you guys ever read it? If somebody has an erotica book that they're like, read it. Oh, well, 50 Shades of Grey, I guess you could say that I read that, and that was like, that would be considered that too. But I mean, it's 50 Shades of Grey really erotica? Like, I know so many people that like, it's really interesting, the people that come out about it, they're like really like, this was not like hardcore erotica, and they get very upset about it. And I'm like, well, I didn't think it was erotica at all. I wasn't really impressed with it. I read this book last year. I can't find it. It's called like 50 something nights or something. It's the author sent it to me, but the cover of it is literally like this guy, and it's like just from like here down, and he's like, it's very, I wish I could find it, you guys. Why can't I find it? It's too much though. I don't even remember actually when I read it, so no, I don't think I can find it. I promised him that I would read it, so I know oh, here it is. 40 Wild Crushes. You guys want to see what the picture looks like? This is my most erotic cover. I mean, I can't even do that. So, I'm not a big lover of erotica. You know, like, I love romance with my husband, but I don't need to, like, read all that kind of stuff. You know, sometimes it makes me a little embarrassed. I'm like, oh my. But anyway, what I don't like is this, okay? Is if you're gonna write romance, Cut and Run, that was the one that I wrote by, I can't remember her name is, but it's huge. Cut and Run, and it was about these two cops, and this is what I didn't like about it was, one was gay, and the other one had just gotten out of a marriage, his wife had died or something. I mean, it was real set up like that, right? And they're on this, like, heist, and then one of them's, like, on the run, one's an FBI agent, the other one's a cop, they hate each other, they end up having kind of, like, this aggressive sex scene. It just was so, like, really, I mean, bad porno in a book. I mean, that's really what it was like. I just didn't like it. I didn't like the themes and the symbols that it sent out. You know, of course, the one character has to be, like, straight, his wife died, but he's looking for love in all the wrong places, so he hooks up with this guy that he's like on this like the beat with. I mean, it was tacky. So no, I don't love that stuff. Okay, and then have you, number 10, you stumble across a port key. What fictional world would you not want to be transported into? I would not want to be transported into Narnia. I will never forget the very first time as a kid reading The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and the Snow Queen, or whatever her name is. Remember her when she was like, my Turkish delights? I was so scared of her, you guys. Like, she terrified me. I had nightmares about that stupid White Queen, or whatever. Was she the White Queen? And she had I wanted to know what Turkish delight, though, was. I wanted to try it so bad. I was like, Mom, can I have some Turkish delight? She was like, I don't know how to whip that shit up, so no. But I was like, I want some Turkish delight so bad. I thought it was chocolates or something. Oh, my God. Do you remember that? But I did want to stay. I don't. It has been so long since I read that book, but I did want to stay in that guy's little house. Do you remember the guy that was by the lamp pole that she meets when she goes under the first time? I wanted to meet him so bad. So that was a really good tag. Now, if you know my rule is, I don't tag anybody because nobody does my tags anyway. So that was a fun tag in Florida. Not safe for work, even though I didn't say anything bad. So anyway, I love you guys, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.